Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we dive into the journeys of innovative entrepreneurs and explore the road ahead for them and their companies. I'm your host, Ammar, and in each episode, we uncover the stories behind impactful ventures, the challenges faced along the way, and the strategies driving their future growth. Today, we are absolutely thrilled to be joined by Dhanesh Shelat, founder and CEO of Leads Champs, a results-driven B2B lead gen and sales automation company. Dhanesh is a digital growth strategist and entrepreneur recognized for leveraging AI, data, and deep market insight to help businesses unlock new pipelines, optimize outbound sales, and boost revenue. With a background spanning global marketing roles for leading brands, plus hands-on expertise in SEO, PPC, and web automation, he embodies the fusion of technical know-how and entrepreneurial grit necessary for scaling in today's digital-first market. Dhanesh, welcome to Founders Future.
Thanks, Ammar. Glad it's hard to live up to that reputation. That's quite the intro. Appreciate it.
I'm glad you like it. I always like to start from the beginning. So take me back to before you started Leads Champs. What were you doing at the time? And then what was the motivation behind starting the company?
Yeah, so I start when I graduated college and I moved to the US. I'm from the UK, hence the funny way that I speak. I moved to New York as part of a internship exchange program and landed my first job at Citibank. I was there during the 2007, so I moved into September 2007. Super interesting time. I think you're a bit too young to recall what happened there, but I that was the financial crisis, and yeah, me and my fellow sort of interns were paid for the year by the companies, right? It was an organization that placed British people in US companies for a year, mostly in banks, and I was at Citibank at the time over in Long Island City. So if you ever played GTA, it's that building. I mean, GTA is across Manhattan. So I was placed there, and yeah, it was super interesting, man. Being in people next to me were like going home like with their boxes, like on a daily basis. Crazy time, yeah. But came to New York, loved it, wanted to stay. Really, American spirit really resonated with me of kind of drive, and it really is the land of it's sort of the land of opportunity for me. At least for me, I found that when I
Yeah.
came here, compared to the UK of where I grew up. So I did that. Worked at a few agencies then, at advertising agencies in SEO roles, smaller ones, then larger agencies, including some of the largest agencies around. And then actually, ironically, Citibank were my client 10 years later.
Okay.
Yeah, it was mad going back to
Cool.
that building. It was pretty crazy. I was the SEO lead for Citibank, City Mortgages, City Card.
Nice.
And then yeah, I had a team of seven, and then being there and going back was like a weird kind of full circle moment. But it was very cool for that to happen. And then I got headhunted to work at L'Oreal, and that was my most recent full-time job. And where initially I was the website lead and SEO lead for CeraVe.com, the skincare brand.
Of course. Yeah, of
So
course.
yeah,
Everybody knows that. Yeah,
it's popular in Canada where you're from. Actually, we have a
yeah.
pretty big base there. And then I moved over to the global team at CeraVe, where I oversaw over 50 websites, was the SEO and paid search lead, as well as the CRM lead for CeraVe
Yeah.
globally. And I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur full time. We discussed earlier, I've had an interest in real estate and built up a small portfolio over the last couple of years. But what I really looking inward over the last year or two, I to decide I was always going to work kind of for myself. I decided that it was a case of, did I want to be a full-time real estate investor, or if not that, then what would I do? And I really, with internal looking, I really discovered that it wasn't, while it wasn't super happy in my job, it wasn't necessarily it wasn't the practice of digital marketing, search in particular, that I fell out of love with. It was just working for someone. It was the freedom and owning my own destiny. I decided, okay, I luckily have a skill set which I think is relatively high in demand. And we can get into AI overviews and so forth if you want, but despite the kind of changes in search, I think that brings up a lot of opportunity. But I think it's an area which a lot of people need support with, and when done right, can be really impactful for businesses. That's that. Yeah, go on, yeah, please.
Yeah, no, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that. I'd love to give the listeners more context into what Leads Champs looks like today. So who would you say is your ideal customer? Who do you love to work with? And then from there, let's dive into the different offers and services that you're currently providing.
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, with when it comes to who we serve, anyone that's having a challenge with driving paid media to their websites or landing pages. We believe that sending traffic to a website that is suboptimal is wasting spend. We found that often, particularly involved in the, or have increasingly been involved in the New York startup scene. There's a lot of startups here. And I think traditionally they think that a lot of businesses think that they need to be spending money and sending paid media to their websites, and they often get themselves in they often have run into challenges when doing that because they haven't set their site up for haven't got the fundamentals in place to set them up for success based on their objectives. So with SEO, by virtue of SEO, you have to earn your rankings. You have to have those fundamentals in place to succeed. So we feel that making sure that you have your site set up for functioning from a technical standpoint as well as strategically will then make sure that you're optimally spending on your media, whether that be paid search, Facebook ads, whatever you are driving to your
Got
site.
it.
Yeah.
Are there any specific types of businesses like e-commerce or something else that you focus on?
Yeah. So some of the business that we worked on, again, so your real estate, we have real estate experience, right? Because of my actual
Mhm.
personal experience with real estate. Those are some of the niches, as well as beauty. Obviously, working most recently at L'Oreal has given me. I think that's an area which a lot of that we have that connection with, and those that work in beauty typically want to work with those that have beauty experience. So that's been something I've been leaning into. But honestly, there's been everything from, again, when you're involved in startup space, there's different. There truly is a kind of plethora of different business types, which is cool. But at the same time, there's principles that can be applied to any vertical. Yeah.
Got it. What are the different offers that you currently offer? So you mentioned SEO, obviously, is one of them. Can you expand on that list and what your main focus is today as we enter the world of AI and AEO, all of those different things?
Yeah. So this is a good question. Honestly, all of our kind of engagements are pretty custom depending on what where the client is on their kind of business journey, how mature they are. But it starts with doing an audit and making sure that have they got the kind of right things in place to ensure that they're just being shown by search engines in the optimal way. And then does this match the objectives of the business and their audience? I think that's super clear. And then we do the standard stuff of managing the paid media, the PPC, and therefore ongoing. And complementary to that, we're also ensuring that they're doing the kind of right things to serve their audience. Again, this always comes back to the audience. If they're, yeah,
100%.
yeah, are we fulfilling their need with supporting content? And it's not just written now with the rise of AI and AI content, anyone can produce an article now. It really matters who creates that and how it's created. It's not written. Maybe it's video. Stuff like this is great for now. Well, I'll hopefully not replaced for a while, Ammar, but in terms of being for podcast host, but I'm sure folk like yourself are going to adapt. That's a gift.
100%.
Yeah.
You either adapt, like you were saying, and learn the new technology, or you get left behind. That's simple as. It's not, AI isn't going to replace humans. Humans that are using AI are going to vastly replace humans that are not using AI. That's my personal belief.
Yeah.
Um,
100% agree.
when it
Yeah.
comes to your personal client acquisition and your lead generation, what are you currently doing to bring on more clients to Leads Champs?
Yeah, that's a good question because this is relatively new. I see it as a kind of a 360 approach. So there's some stuff, again, this is one of my marketing mix channels, being on, appreciate being given the platform on your podcast, but that's one of them. It's connected with my existing network as well. I think when you start off, all my mentors have said leverage your existing network because
Yeah,
the fundamentals of know and trust,
100%.
yeah, that always applies. So those who know you, they're often referring you to each other. So that's been pretty great so far. And then, as I said, myself, I'm trying to grow in a way that's sustainable. I'm not. I want to. My fundamental, one of the core business values is to do kind of good work for good businesses. That's what, and I'm mindful to not grow far too quickly because I think one of my unique is me as the business owner. It's like my values are going to be I kind of transition to I put throughout my business when I'm going to work when my if there's anyone from my team they have those at their core as well, and then that applies to
Mhm.
all my team members.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So you're 7 months in, roughly speaking, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
Roughly, yeah, I went traveling for a bit. Q2 was when I after got back, and this is when I've really stepped up. So it's a little
Okay.
bit greener than that, but
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
it's yeah, yeah.
so you're still figuring things out, laying down the right foundations when it comes to client acquisition. Are you also running the sales calls? I'm assuming yes.
Yeah, at the moment, that is, I think that those are my initial, I think as the business owner, I think to start with, I think
Yeah,
people,
you
again,
have to do everything. You have
yeah,
to do everything.
yeah, yeah,
That's
100%. One of the first like full time, I have a team that's mostly offshore that does my technical support, my website modifications, even if clients need new sections of sites or even full blown redesigns, we can take that on. But we focus on optimizing pages to make sure that the conversions are done. But we have an offshore team. I have my offshore team that handles that and can and super strong. But when it comes to if it comes to when and I'm thinking about strategically, a couple months down the line,
yeah,
when it becomes too much for me, that would be one of my kind of first hires is account reps slash sales, probably be account. I think I can myself handle the sales up until a certain point, I think. And
maybe
then
you can have a setter that qualifies them, and then that could be the first hire. Then you eventually bring on a closer. Then you only take the highest level clients. Yeah, no, I completely get that.
yeah,
When
yeah.
I'm curious, given that it's still green, when you think of the vision and you think about where you want to be, let's say 12 months down the line, from a revenue perspective, where do you want to be, let's say, per month? What's the goal?
Yeah, it's trying to say that, and I have those in my head, right? It'd be great to be a like a seven-figure business, but I'm being patient, and I'm rather than focusing on those big numbers, it's am I doing the micro things to get me there? So
For,
meeting with
for
X amount of people,
definitely.
and then I'm reviewing my quarterly goals to say, hey, this is what we're hitting. How does it look like? And I'm measuring this, right? What is our bank balance right now? And hey, it does look at times it's scary coming from a salary which I left a pretty well paying job. It's pretty scary going from that and again I'm lucky enough that I set the foundation with some real estate stuff to help supplement that and keep me going. So it's allowed me to be a bit selective with the people with the businesses stuff that I work with. I'm being patient to say, hey, look, the goal is to have some figure agency, but
Yeah, I love that. Sorry,
yeah.
I'm just trying to get my AI camera to do its thing. And
Oh,
it's
no
working.
worries.
That's I like that. So obviously having the goal is important. Yeah, you know that 100%. And then but then also making sure that you're focused on the controllables and the leading indicators instead of the lagging indicators. So I'm curious, what do you feel like is the biggest challenge you're currently facing right now to growing this further and to getting to seven figures?
Yeah, look, it's the unknowns, right? Honestly, it's what you don't know. You know what you know, and you go in the right direction, and you try to seek, and you read, and you speak with other entrepreneurs, right? And I know this is one of the best things I've done is like going in for them because I'm learning so much. But it's honestly, it's a prioritization thing, right? It's like constant reviewing and figuring, okay, what do I need to be? And again, you have a quarterly goals. I have and these span across my whole life, right? There's multiple things going on. But when it comes to this business, it's okay. This is what I want to do. This is my objective, as I said, to do good work for good people. Am I, what's stopping me? What's stopping me to get to the next step, right?
Mhm.
Okay, what's going to get me there? It's a prioritization thing that often, and it's making sure that I'm doing the step, which is and I'm constantly reviewing the effectiveness of the actions that I'm taking.
Mm,
Yeah.
yeah, tracking them, looking at them on a daily basis, seeing the effects of them. I like that a lot. We have a philosophy when it
Hmm.
comes to how to grow to eight figures and beyond. There's different phases. Phase one is really when you're 0 to 10K or maybe 0 to 20K-ish per month. That is finding product market fit. Really figuring out, does the market want what I serve? Now, the stuff that you offer, obviously there's already product market fit there. Now, the
Hmm.
only thing that could be helpful for you, which I would recommend you look into, is niching down a little bit further because it just helps stand out a lot more. Because we've worked with thousands of agencies at this point at closers. That would be helpful. And then after that, the 10 to 30, or let's say 10K to 100K mark, that really comes down to developing the optimal selling system. What is the best way for me to acquire customers, aka get people to book or acquire leads, I should say, get people to book on my calendar? And what is the best way for me to be able to take cold traffic, so somebody that doesn't know or trust me yet, how do I take them and consistently be able to close them at, let's say, 25% or more? So if you know you're closing one out of four qualified people on your calendar, then it's just a numbers game. It's okay, let's get as many people on as possible. Can we charge higher because we're more niche, because we provide better services? There's a lot of factors that come into play. But I'm curious for you. If you could go back in time and ask yourself, or give yourself, sorry, a piece of advice that you wish you knew when you were first starting off. Obviously, you're still,
Yeah,
what would you
yeah.
tell your younger self before you started in business?
Yeah, I think one thing is I think, and I've heard this from a lot of business owners, it says that once they get there, and I feel like I believe this will happen, is when you reach a point where you can pay yourself what your salary, and I come from, I said, a transparency, a decent salary, you think, man, I wish I would have done this earlier. So one thing that I would say to my younger self is, hey, it's going to be okay. You're going to figure it out. I think one thing that stopped me leaving was just that fear of not having that paycheck. And while I'd like to think I'm in a better position now to support that, I feel like potentially I could have done that sooner. But again, no regrets. I don't have regrets on that. I think one thing is, hey, when I'm going through some tough times,
Yeah,
that, but my job would have been like, look, it's going to be all right. You're going to figure this out. Many people have done this before you, and that's what I'm learning. Just going through this and speaking with people who've done this, business owners, I'm like, wow, okay, yeah, I'd like to think I'm doing things in the right way. And again, my ultimate thing is to help those businesses. And I think that what I think also I'd like to say is that I think one thing to say is that this is something that I love doing. I love the digital marketing space. I love diving into analytics. And I was listening to a podcast with the Google CEO, right? Sundar Pichari yeah. And he's not the first one to say that, but it's just like if you do something that you love, it doesn't feel like work. You'll be more, I don't know if it doesn't feel like work. It's still work, but
yeah,
you're more
yeah,
likely to be successful at it.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's Now, I have a different philosophy on that because I do
Hmm.
think that you can develop a passion for things. So just because you're not currently passionate about something doesn't mean by you can't develop it by getting good at that thing. I truly believe that confidence comes from competence. So the more competent that we are at a particular thing, the more
Mm.
confident that we are doing it, the more we enjoy doing it. So it becomes a passion over time. Like when I started working out, for example, I like to work out a decent amount in the past week, but don't tell anybody. But I didn't love it at first. Now I'm addicted to it. You know what I mean? Because it grew into that. Same with business. Now I know that you gotta go. I don't want to keep you on for too long.
I can for a minute or two. Yeah, it's all right for
Okay,
me.
cool.
Yeah, please don't carry on. I'm curious. Please carry on.
Yeah, no, that's how I view it. And Alex Hormozy talks a lot about that. I'm sure you know who Alex
Yeah,
is.
yes, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah.
He hates the idea of passion, but I do get what you mean. But I think when you get good at something, because you've obviously gotten very good at what you do, you tend to enjoy it more. And you tend to, and then there's going to be different aspects along your journey that you're going to not like at the beginning. Like probably managing a team, you may or may not like that at first, or hiring salespeople. You may or may not like that at first, but then the more that you improve, the better that you get at it, the more that you enjoy it. And then you're
Yeah.
like, okay, this is dope.
Maybe it's a bit of both, right? Maybe it's a bit of
Yeah.
both, right? Yeah, it's a bit of both. Right? I think to your point, you do sometimes you have a baseline of stuff that you got some people just more analytical, more creative than
Mhm.
others, and they become good at that, so they enjoy it. I think I definitely resonate. I definitely hear what you're saying. Yeah,
I like that.
yeah.
What is the best way for people to reach out to you to work with you?
LinkedIn's my current platform. That's the one where I'm most active. I'm happy to help. And again, I'd love just doing marketing reviews for folk, speaking to the folk about their businesses and their strategy. Yeah, hit me up on LinkedIn. I'm sure you'll share the link there. Yeah, but I'm happy to connect with folk there.
Awesome. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for your time, brother.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, man. All
Yeah.
right.
So that wraps up another insightful episode of Founders Future. To our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to reach out to Dhanesh Shelat on LinkedIn. We're going to tag it here so it's pretty easy to find. And if you're here, make sure you subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. And if you are a business owner, specifically a coach, consultant, or an agency owner, and you're really looking to scale your business and you want to enhance your sales and marketing efforts, visit closers.io to discover how we can support your growth journey. Until then, keep on climbing.